Hi, my name is Angie Frederic. I'm a registered dietitian and a certified diabetes educator. And today I'd like to talk to you about how to read nutrition facts labels to better help your chances at losing weight. First, we'll start off by looking at a label. As you can see, this is a sample label of macaroni and cheese. And what I'm going to do is divide this label into sections and just give you a better idea of how to read this food label so that when you go to the grocery store, you can read all kinds of different labels to help with weight loss. First thing is I start with the serving size, and that's standard for everyone. Everyone should become familiar with the serving size on the food labels. As you can see in this food label, the serving size says 1 cup. It's up there at the top. They generally use serving sizes that are fairly standard for most foods. But that doesn't mean that whatever the serving size says, that's the portion that we are supposed to be eating. For example, things such as margarine or butter, they actually list a tablespoon. But according to the American Dietetic Association, the serving size is a teaspoon. So just take note that the serving size is listed at the top. It's important to look at. You'll also see next to that a gram amount. That gram amount is the weight of that product for the serving size. And so unless you're going to weigh the product, you pretty much can ignore the gram amount. Next, you'll see up there is servings per container. In this container of macaroni and cheese, for example, there's 2 servings per the container. And that's very important to take note of, because some containers, there's multiple servings in something that you may think is 1 serving, such as this is actually some cookies. And a lot of people, when they look at this container, have said that they've thought it was a snack item, a snack food. But when you look at the serving sizes on the back, it actually lists 14 cookies as a serving size. And the servings per container, there's actually 4 servings in this container. And I don't know about you, but I've seen these in the grocery store and thought, oh, this would be great for a kid's lunchbox or a lunch someday as a snack at work. But there's really 4 servings in this container. And I'll talk about why that's significant, more significant in a minute. So next you go down and you'll see on your food label where it tells you to look at the calories. The calories of the food are very important to pay attention to, and the calories are based on that serving size. So that's why the serving size is the first place we look, because everything below that is actually based on that serving size. So in this food, this macaroni and cheese, you can see it lists 250 calories per 1 cup. So here's your 1 cup measuring cup. You can take this 1 cup and you would know that this has about 250 calories in it. Now, where this becomes important is, let's say I decided I wanted 2 cups of macaroni and cheese. Well, based on this label, I would then have to double my calorie level. So now I would have not 250 calories, but I would have 500 calories for that box of macaroni and cheese. Okay? Everyone has a different number of calories that they need. For most women with weight loss, it's about 1,400 to 1,600 calories a day. And for most men, it's around 1,600 to 1,800 calories a day. That is a very general guideline, and it's not meant for everyone. If you want more accurate calorie need estimations, you can contact your registered dietitian, and they can help you figure out exactly how many calories you need in a day. So getting back to your food label, I told you all of these nutrients are based on the serving size, but kind of breaking it up a little further, you can kind of identify here this yellow section, this top section. These are the nutrients in our foods that are recommended that we limit. So limiting these nutrients can help you with reducing your risk of heart disease, but also with weight loss. Specifically looking at your total fat amount, you'll see on this food label, it lists 12 grams of total fat. For most women, 12 or 14 grams of fat a meal is actually pretty standard. For most men, up to about 15, 16 grams of fat a meal. And again, that's a general guideline. For snacks, we really look at a low-fat snack as being something around 3 grams of fat or less. So that kind of gives you an idea of how to use that label. So for example, once again, if I were going to use 1 cup of this food, it would have 12 grams of fat. But let's say I decided I wanted 2 cups of that food. Well, that tells me that's 24 grams of fat. And if you were really just using fat to count on your food labels for weight loss, that would tell you that is a lot of fat to be eating at one meal. The cholesterol and sodium are most important for disease management, and I'm not going to go into specifics other than if you want to look at cholesterol on a food label, the American Heart Association recommends that you have 200 milligrams of cholesterol if you have diabetes or pre-existing heart disease, and 300 for the general public, 300 milligrams of cholesterol, and that's per day. If you look at sodium content, if you are interested in looking at that, it's about 2,400 milligrams a day is what's recommended from the American Heart Association. So moving down the label, you notice that these are out of the yellow zone. They don't recommend limiting these, but there are some different guidelines you can follow to help you with your weight loss efforts. Some people look at total carbohydrates to try to lose weight. It can be a very helpful tool. For most women, it's around 45 grams to 60 grams of carbohydrates at a meal. And for snacks, about 15 grams to 30 grams of carbohydrate at a meal. For men, your total carbohydrate for a meal is about 60 grams of carbohydrate for a meal and 15 to 30 grams of carbohydrate for a snack. Fiber is also another component that you want to look at on your food label. It is recommended that we have 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. So foods with 2 to 3 grams of fiber in such as grains, bread, cereals, that's a good source of fiber in your diet. Down below, I'm going to skip down to here, which is your nutrient values. I don't really use these for weight loss. It's just important to make sure you get a variety in your diet, and that's going to help make sure you get all the vitamins and minerals that you need in your diet. Down here, as kind of a side note, this is the explanation of how they determine the percentages along the side. Most people ask me, how do they come up with these percentages? What is it based on? Well, it's actually based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. And as you heard me say earlier, most people don't need 2,000 calories a day. So over here, you'll see a breakdown of how many grams of fat, cholesterol, sodium you would need for that 2,000 calories a day. Percentages, I usually do not look at for that reason. It's not actually a good indicator of your efforts at weight loss because the percentages are based on that 2,000, and that's, you really probably don't need 2,000 calories a day to lose weight. So just to recap on the calorie levels, I just want to restate about 16, if you are going to be on a 1,600 calorie a day diet, for example, which most women are around 1,400 to 1,600, most men are around 1,600 to 1,800. But if you, let's take an average of about 1,600 calories a day. Let's say you wanted to make it easy for yourself in reading that food label. One way you could do that is to divide those calories up evenly during the day to make it easier to follow. For example, 400 calories per meal or 100 to 150 calories per snack, and that would add up to your total of 1,600 calories in a day. What that helps with is, let's go back to your label, and you can see instead of adding calories all day long, you could actually individualize that meal, and you could say, I'm going to have 1 cup of this, and that's going to give me 250 calories, but if I have 2 cups, I'm going to be getting 500 calories, and that may be too much for what I need at my meal.